How is it possible that one of the best pilots of all time is suffering so much with one of the most historical teams in Formula One? Is Hamilton the problem? Or is Ferrari who is betraying him from within? The answer is in the data, and they are worse than you imagine. Some thought it was just a matter of time, that Hamilton would need some races to understand the secrets of the car, adjust his style, adapt to the new environment. But engineers within the team knew that the problem was more complex. The data said it crudely: the SF25 was wrong. An unstable aerodynamic design, a defective rear suspension, and inefficient thermal management was made an erratic and unpredictable car. And this is where the real drama begins. Because when you have a pilot like Hamilton, whose steering wheel is refined to the millimeter, giving him such an inconsistent car is like asking a surgeon to operate with boxing gloves. His talent, however extraordinary, cannot compensate for the structural failures of the car. The car not only does not allow him to show his best version, he punishes him. What seemed like a historical alliance for success is becoming a technical and psychological battlefield. Ferrari continues to sell hope. Hamilton, meanwhile, struggles to maintain faith. It is not the dream beginning. It is a brutal reminder that in Formula One, history, talent, and prestige do not guarantee anything. If the car fails, everything fails. The real conflict that Hamilton faces in Ferrari is not in times by return or in the career results. It is on telemetry. The data has no narrative or emotions. They only show the raw, objective truth. And what they reveal in the case of SF25 is deeply alarming. From the first pre-season training to recent tests in circuits such as Mugello and Azerbaijan, the car sensors have exposed a pattern of failures that cannot be ignored. One of the most critical is the unstable behavior of the rear train. In high-load situations, either in strong braking or in accelerations leaving slow curves, the SF25 fails to maintain a coherent line. The rear axle tends to move laterally or bouncing longitudinally. This phenomenon, known as dynamic rebound or longitudinal rebound, is extremely destructive for performance. Not only complicates the control of the car, but also directly affects tire wear and tensile traction in medium and low-speed curves. The team has tried multiple solutions: suspension settings, chassis stiffness, motor brake mapping alteration. Nothing has worked consistently. During the test in Mugello, this rebound intensified, especially when passing through areas with potholes or lifting changes, causing the car to react unpredictably. The most worrying thing is that this defect does not affect everyone equally. Leclerc, for example, manages to better adapt to these inconsistencies thanks to a more aggressive driving style at curve entrance. Hamilton, on the other hand, builds its rhythm on a basis of stability and sensitivity. And the SF25 simply does not give it. But the problem does not end there. In Azerbaijan, the braking system showed critical overheating signals. In areas such as curves 1 and 3, brake discs reached dangerously high temperatures, compromising the efficacy of tweezers. In practical terms, the brake pedal lost firmness and with it, the pilot's confidence. An error in braking is not just a tenth loss. It is a poorly drawn curve, an assigned position, or even an abandonment. And this overheating has collateral effects. The heat generated in the brakes is transferred to the rear tire, affecting internal pressure, degradation, and adhesion. This generates a domino effect. The car begins to fly over more than expected. The tires wear out unequally and the performance collapses after return. Hamilton, accustomed to managing rhythm with surgical precision, is suddenly found with a car that reacts differently in each curve. It's like dancing with a couple that constantly changes passing without warning. In Miami, telemetry showed that Hamilton lost about a second due to Oscar Piastri, and not due to lack of talent. The sectors where they suffered most were those of strong braking and progressive acceleration, where the car demanded confidence and rear grip. In areas such as Curve 11, the SF25 simply did not deliver the necessary traction. The difference in braking microsector reached up to 4/10, an eternity in Formula One. In addition, the transmission system did not help. In the Spanish GP, the change of marches was erratic, with poorly synchronized power cuts that interrupted the acceleration flow. They were not visible errors for the casual viewer, but in telemetry they were marked as irregular pulses. For a Hamilton-caliber pilot, these details matter. Not because he does not know how to adapt, but because those milliseconds of disconnection break their mental rhythm. They force him to constantly correct. And that wears out. Aerodynamics also does not escape the problem. The balance between front and rear load is decompensated. When Hamilton enters a quick curve with aggressiveness, the rear tends to let go. When he tries to stop late, the rear loses alignment. And when it accelerates with decision, the posterior train does not translate the power with the expected progressivity. It is a loop of errors that are not born from the pilot but of the design. And yet, Hamilton continues to adjust his style. In classification, he has managed to adapt the layout of his line to the deficiencies of the car. He has even copied Leclerc's style into high-speed curves, previously releasing the brake to gain minimal speed. But this is just a temporary solution. The root of the problem still does. In a sport where every millimeter counts, each structural defect is magnified. And what is clear with each new data package is that Ferrari has given Hamilton a car that is not at the level of its ambition. A car that is not only poorly designed, is misunderstood. And that is the most dangerous of all. There is something deeply revealing in the fact that despite all the data, despite all technical reports and simulations, Ferrari continues to publicly insist that the SF25 is competitive. But what the numbers show is something else. And when observed in detail what is happening in the garage of Maranello, it is impossible to ignore an uncomfortable reality. The car is designed for another type of pilot, not for Hamilton. Ferrari seems to have built a car to maximize the aggressive, explosive and risky style of Charles Leclerc. A car that prioritizes curve entrance above braking stability, which compromises rear traction in favor of an ultra-sensitive direction to the limit. That approach can work with a pilot like Leclerc, who is willing to live on the edge of the error to find tense. But for someone like Hamilton, whose strength is to build a career from a stable and consistent platform, it is like running with an anchor tied to the ankle. The big question is, did they know from the beginning? Was this a deliberate bet of Ferrari, or a consequence of its inability to develop a versatile car? Telemetry data leaves no doubt. There is a disconnection between what the car needs to be fast and what Hamilton needs to take it to the limit. And that disconnection not only affects him on the track, he also wears out of it. A revealing detail. In curves where full confidence in lateral grip is required, that is, aggressive trajectories with high lateral load, Leclerc has marked a remarkable advantage. In certain curves, the data shows that Hamilton cannot maintain the same line without losing adherence, which suggests that the behavior of the car at those extreme points penalizes it more. In Formula One, the margin between success and failure is not just a matter of tense. It is a matter of trust. Synergy between man and machine. To know that when you push the limit, the car is going to respond. At this time, Hamilton does not have that confidence. And Ferrari has not given him reasons to recover it. The SF25 is not a disastrous car. It has speed, it has power, it has some sectors in which it even shines. But it is deeply inconsistent. A car that delivers performance at specific times, but falls apart before the prolonged demand. And that instability, that lack of coherence in the behavior of the car, is what is undermining any real possibility that Hamilton dominates it. And this is where the situation becomes dangerous for Ferrari. Because we are not talking only about results. We are talking about the credibility of a project, of the trust that a pilot has in his team. And if that trust erodes, if Hamilton begins to think that he is in a battle that he cannot win, then the problem will cease to be a technician. It will become a politician. And that, in Maranello, always ends badly. At the moment, Ferrari faces a dilemma. Partially redesign the SF25 to make it more compatible with the Hamilton style, or continue betting on a technical direction that, until now, has not brought victories. But time does not expect. And in such a tight season, each lost point can cost a championship, or something else. The great paradox is this. You have one of the best pilots of all time, hungry for redemption, with experience, with motivation. And you are wasting it for not building a car worthy of your talent. At this point, it's no longer about whether Hamilton can adapt. This is if Ferrari can live up to Hamilton. Because there is something that never changes in Formula One. You can have the best engineers, the highest budget and the most legendary name of the paddock, but if you do not build the right car for your star pilot, you are condemned to see the opportunities pass one after another. And that is exactly what is happening now. We are seeing how a project that could have redefined Ferrari's recent history runs the risk of off before taking off. Not due to lack of talent. Not due to lack of ambition. But for wrong technical decisions by a development address that has not understood that for this marriage to work, the car should serve the pilot, not vice versa. And now I ask you, what do you think Ferrari should do to reverse this situation? Redesign the SF25? Modify your development philosophy? Or is Hamilton who must change their approach to survive in this environment? I want to read you in the comments.